Have you ever wanted to jump into a world stylized like that of the Spy vs. Spy universe? The game Paper Pilgrim, The Crystal Case by Husla Masi allows just that. You wear the shoes of a detective that is struggling to pay rent, so you and your brother work desperately to solve some cases to make ends meet. So let's jump into the beautiful world that is Paper Pilgrim. One of the first things you notice about the game is the very stylized low poly environment and very memorable 2D character sprites. The game does look like someone took a piece of paper, penciled in some quick art, and then folded a piece of gorgeous origami to construct environments. Everything is coherent, and you can't mistake an object from the depiction seen in game. The music and sound effects were another piece of the puzzle that really helped make the game pop. They fit within the game like they were crafted and molded to fit perfectly. I would suggest playing at least until you get to the puzzle involving a musician. The menus are even very well crafted, easily telling you the controls of the game along with some adjustable features such as camera sensitivity and volume control. An issue I had with the visuals was the motion blur. I personally have never been a fan of motion blur, which causes a lot of eye strain. A feature to turn off motion blur would have been very useful. With that said, the motion blur was not enough to deter me from playing through for an hour. I didn't even realize how long I played until I got to a good stopping point, which to me shows that the game is very engaging and made me want to keep playing. Talking of playing, let's discuss the gameplay. The gameplay brought me back to the days of point-and-click adventure games, with the type of puzzle solving it had, but mixed with a first-person perspective and platforming. Genres combined to make an impressively enthralling experience with a narrative that made me curious to find out more about the characters and the world. You start the game doing a tutorial. It feels like a trippy dream scenario in which you learn the basic controls, moving, using the inventory, turning on your flashlight, and solving puzzles by interacting with the world. This is short and sweet and gets you into the game quickly, armed with the knowledge to be able to complete all the tasks in the game. There is a slight loading screen after the tutorial, but after that I did not encounter another loading screen during the entire hour-long session. The puzzles really did feel fantastic. If you've ever played an old-school point-and-click adventure, such as the games produced by Sierra Entertainment, then you will have a strong idea of what to look forward to. I will not ruin any of the solutions of the puzzles, but there was one in particular that I thoroughly enjoyed, which involved a musician named Joe Leytrick, who is actually a real-life musician, and I must admit that the tunes that I was introduced to via this game was very pleasing to the ears. Though the gameplay made me feel nostalgic, it did have its own unique style and flair that created its own identity. This being a prototype, I was impressed with the amount that I was able to do and for how long I was able to play for. With that being said, there are a few nitpicks that I believe could help even further the polish of this amazing game. So time to talk about the controls. During the time I played to record footage, I had issues with the default mouse sensitivity. I would recommend adjusting that to help with the movement of your character. The biggest complaint I had while playing the game was just the discomfort of the controls. The movement controls were fine, such as walking, looking, and jumping. However, when it came to the crouching and using the inventory buttons, the controls felt cramped and awkward for my hands. A solution I believe that could help is giving the player the ability to remap the keys, or maybe make the game playable with a controller. With the amount of times you use your inventory in the game, it did start to feel cumbersome, which fatigued the gaming experience a bit. Even though the controls cramped up my hand, I still wanted to keep playing, so obviously it wasn't that bad of an issue. One thing about the game being a platformer and being in first person was that there was a few areas that tripped me up when landing on small or narrow platforms. So maybe a slightly larger platform or maybe larger colliders to help give the player a grace area to land would help. Though there were some rough patches, I would not let those dampen the experience, since the rest of the game controlled smoothly. Interacting with objects was very responsive, and using items from the inventory was very intuitive. Movement controls, overall, were very responsive. The game also lacked a save feature, which the developer actually mentioned due to the game being a prototype, which for me was a little disappointing since I was so engrossed for the hour I played, but I just didn't have time to finish it, so closing out meant restarting the entire journey. Again, this is a small nitpick since I understand this isn't a complete package, just a snippet. So far, I have given this game some high praise and then smacked it with some nitpicks and critiques, so you're probably wondering if I recommend the game or not. The beautiful stylized paper aesthetic of the world and the intriguing narrative alone make the game worthwhile to check out. And if you are a fan of puzzle games, then this game will make you appreciate the time you took out of your day to play it. The controls may be a little off-putting and cumbersome at times, but those should be fairly easy tweaks to the final product that would give the game that extra mile polish. With this in mind, I would give the game a play and would try to schedule at least 2 hours to get the full experience due to the lack of save feature. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the review. If you could, please subscribe to the channel and like and share the video, since that helps me out a lot. If you have suggestions on how to improve the format of the video, I would love to hear back from you down in the comments. I will engage with as many comments as I can, but in the meantime, take care and be safe.